It's been almost 16 months since I moved from Scotland to Nashville to find more work as a gigging guitar player. In this video, I want to share with you the 3 biggest lessons that I've learned in that time. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video because the third lesson I want to talk about is by far the most valuable one that I've learned, and it's become especially apparent to me in 2025 specifically. Anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is money. There are a ton of opportunities to make money out here as a performing musician, but if you want to make really good money in Nashville, you're going to have to work extremely hard for it, right? And for your first year or two, you're probably going to want to have another job or some music related side hustle to keep you going, right? If you were to ask me what's the quickest way to earn 6 figures as a performing guitar player here in town, I would say go straight down to Broadway, get your foot in the door there, and start taking as many cover band shifts as possible. I know lots of people out here who do Broadway full time, and these guys make great money, 6 figures plus, but they've got to work extremely hard for it. I mean, these guys are doing double, triple, and even quad shifts on a daily basis. And if you don't know, a Broadway cover band shift is 4 hours of playing with no breaks. So when I say triple and quad shifts, I do literally mean 12 to 16 hours of stage time per day. Again, I know lots of guitar players that do this. And you know what? I think that it's an amazing thing to have that as an option out here. I mean, the idea of making 6 figures doing cover gigs in bars where I'm from in Scotland is unfathomable. Like, it's just not possible back home. It's not even an option. But if you want to do the artist gig thing and maybe find a long-term touring gig where you're on a salary with some big artist, you're most likely not going to make anything close to what you could make if you went the full-time Broadway route, right? For the record, I'm not speaking from experience here. I'm yet to find a long-term touring gig, but I have plenty of friends that do that and have done it, right? I've heard of guys turning down salary touring gigs with big artists out here because they'd be making less than half of what they'd make if they just stayed on Broadway for the year. Now, to me personally, that doesn't matter so much because I arrived here in a very unique situation compared to most guitar players who move to Nashville looking for touring work. And what I mean by that is money is honestly not something that factors into me deciding to either take a gig or to reject it. I'm in a position where if I decide I want to take a gig, it's for one of or a combination of 3 reasons. One would be that I know and like the people in the band. 2 would be it's an exciting opportunity that I haven't done before. I mean, just recently I got the chance to play a show with an artist for CMA Fest, which I jumped at as soon as I got the text because CMA Fest is a big deal. And the third reason would just be that I think I'd really enjoy playing the music and I feel like I could serve it well with the style of guitar playing that I can offer. That's what I care about when a gig gets offered to me. The money is kind of irrelevant, and no, I didn't win the lottery or anything. If you're watching me for the first time, I've been running this YouTube channel and my online guitar education business, which is called Bulletproof Guitar Player. I've been running all that for over 8 years now, right? And just while I'm on that, if you're looking to improve your lead guitar skills and learn how to solo over chord changes and play more melodically, I've got 2 free soloing lessons linked in the description box beneath the video. Anyway, that business is my baby, and it's how I've made 99% of my income since 2017 when I left music school, and I'm incredibly grateful to be able to say that. So this has all meant that when I arrived in Nashville in April last year, I didn't get off the plane and immediately think, oh man, I need to find a steady gig like tomorrow so that I can pay my rent. I was able to spend 2024 just finding my feet, doing the odd gig here and there, whilst also continuing to run and grow the business. So if you want to move out here, I would strongly suggest saving up a decently sized emergency fund first, or working another job that will help you to pay the bills whilst you find your feet out here and work on getting gigs, unless you can, immediately get your foot in the door on Broadway. Another lesson that I've learned over the past 16 months is that social media is one of your strongest assets. Posting videos of your playing on Instagram is something that if you're not already doing it, you should start doing immediately. I was having a conversation with someone that I played a gig with recently, and they were telling me that auditioning for gigs is kind of becoming less and less common. And I think that makes sense because, if an artist or a musical director can go onto your Instagram and immediately watch a bunch of videos that prove you're a great guitar player, or they can see photos of you playing some big gig, then they're likely going to trust you enough to take you on, right? I know for a fact that my social media channels have helped me a ton in finding work out here. It's instant social proof if you have a big following and a bunch of videos showing you playing to the best of your abilities, right? Um, a friend of mine out here, Tim Avon, who is now a full-time member of the band Lanco, when we first met, he told me that he got introduced to the band because of a TikTok that he posted. And to be honest, were it not for my social media following, I honestly don't think I would have even been able to get the work visa that I moved here on, since all the work that I've done as a musician over the years, the opportunities I've had, they've all come about as a result of the content that I've been making for years now. So yeah, social media plays a big role in finding work. Now, you don't need to worry about instantly getting 10,000 followers overnight, right? But just start posting clips of your playing, posting clips of you on gigs and photos from the stage. Just start posting that stuff somewhat consistently, and in the long run, your following is going to grow, and that is going to pay off. I will come back to social media in a moment because it also plays a role in the last lesson I want to talk about, which has been by far the most valuable thing I've learned during my time out here so far. And that is that your network is everything. I'll tell you a short story to illustrate this. So I moved in April 2024, probably mentioned that already. And it was a pretty slow first year in terms of finding gigs. And at the end of the year, I went back to Scotland for Christmas and New Year to see the family and whatnot. And when I got back to Nashville in January, I had a phone call with one of my best friends who isn't involved in music, doesn't live in America. He lives on the other side of the world. And anyway, he said to me, wow, I can't believe it's been close to a year since you moved to Nashville. And this friend of mine, he's always been someone who tells me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear, right? That's a sign of a good friend. So anyway, he just asked me straight up, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much effort have you honestly put into chasing these opportunities that you said you moved there for? And I took a moment to think about it before I said, honestly, maybe a 3 out of 10. And that was probably being generous. So then my friend says, well, that's not good enough. You need to start like stepping things up. And so I get off the phone and I immediately start thinking of all the ways I could increase my chances of finding more work this year. And right off the bat, it was obvious to me that I hadn't put much effort into networking with musicians out here outside of my close friend group, who are pretty much all musicians, right? And so I decided to just send messages to guys that I wanted to meet out here. I would offer to buy them coffee or lunch so that I could pick their brain about touring life and let them know, hey, I'm here and this is what I'm looking for. Now, getting back to the importance of social media, there were a couple of guys I cold messaged on Instagram back in January who I'd never met, but I knew of them because I'd watched their YouTube channels since they both make videos about life as a musician in Nashville. And yeah, after that phone call, I thought, why don't I just message these people and see if I can meet them? Anyway, they responded pretty quickly to say that they knew who I was because they'd been watching my YouTube channel for a long time, which was, a nice surprise. So that immediately gave me an in with these people. And so I met up with both of them and, I got to ask them about what touring life is like, what it takes to get gigs out here, and just let them know that, hey, I'm in town and I'm looking for this kind of work. And I also got to offer them advice on building their social media channels too, since they were interested in hearing how I did that myself. So it was kind of a mutually beneficial thing. Now, I didn't go in to those meetings and say, please give me a gig or anything like that. It was just me letting them know, I'm in town. This is what I want to do with my time out here. And so maybe a month goes by before I get a text from a musical director saying, hey, so-and-so gave me your number. We need a guitar player for an artist gig in March. Now, fast forward to June, I was walking around town knowing that my gig calendar had been dry since I played that artist gig in March. And I was thinking to myself, man, I really need to get out there and do more networking again, like do more of what I was doing earlier in the year, and messaging these people to let them know that, I'm looking for these opportunities. And funnily enough, that same evening, I got a text from a manager saying, hey, this person sent me your number. We're looking for a guitar player to fill in for a one-off artist gig. It's in South Carolina next month. Can you do it? And obviously I said yes right away. And if you want to watch the vlog I just made about that Fly Date gig, I'll put it somewhere up here. Anyway, the next morning, I got a text from another musical director. Hey, we need a fill-in guitarist for a CMA Fest gig next weekend. Can you do it? And again, I said yes. So that was funny timing. I was literally walking around thinking that I really need to find more work. And then within 24 hours, I was booked for 2 shows with new artists that I never met before, right? So that is the power of networking. I planted those seeds early in the year, and then the opportunities came about a few months later. And I've learned over the past 16 months that it's really not enough to just be here and to be a good player, because everyone's here and everyone's a good player. If you want to get recommended for gigs, you've got to let people know that you're here and that you're looking for work. And the cool thing about networking consistently is that it can lead to this sort of snowball effect where, you meet one person for coffee, you exchange numbers, let them know that you're looking for work. And then when they get a call for a gig that they can't do, you're fresh in their mind. So they pass your number on to someone, you get a gig that way. And then when you're on the gig, that's also networking, right? Because you're meeting a new artist, you're meeting 3 to 5 new musicians in town, right? You're meeting their management, their crew, musical director, and your network just expands from there. And then, you could be doing one gig and maybe the drummer plays with a different artist who just so happens to be looking for a touring guitar player, and you get the call for that, right? So yeah, networking is super powerful. It's probably the most important thing besides being a good musician, right? And I'm very glad that I had that phone call with my friend earlier in this year, because he gave me a much needed kick up the ass, as he often does. So I'll wrap this video up here. I've been meaning to make an update about, how things are going out here for a long time now, and I hope this video was insightful for you guys. If you want to know how I prepared for a headline show where I was flown out to another state to play a 90-minute set with an artist I'd never met before with 0 rehearsal, if you want to watch that video, I'm going to put that right up here. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.